recently dug into my old iPhone notes and stumbled upon my buried YouTube scripts. I forgot I began writing reviews to share someday. But guess what? I never did. My lazy ass gave up and forgot about this project. Not anymore. Seeing these dusty scripts has inspired me to pursue my passion once again, writing. Unfortunately, for you all, that includes Deku and Bakugo fanfiction. No, not really. Anyways, I do plan to revitalize those old scripts and finish what I started, but today I'll begin with something more recent. Welcome to my channel, and holy shit, you're wasting your life watching this shithole. Today I'll give my praises and criticism to 2006's Hill Have Eyes. I'm just gonna be upfront and honest, I didn't like this film. Didn't dislike it either. This movie has its ups and downs, and most of those downs come from character decision. All horror movies suffer from it, but the real good ones learn how to utilize this the best they could. This movie, however, I question their IQ levels and sanity, if not all the characters. I'll be breaking up my review in what I feel to be the pillars and Achilles heel of this movie. Plot, decision making, and finally character development. The movie does a decent job setting up events, some however feel forced. The film follows a family of 6 traveling to California. The grandparents, Big Bob and his wife, Doug and Lynn, who are married, their baby, and last but not least the 2 younger siblings, Brenda and Bobby. Like most horror movies, you need to lead the character to conflict. The Hills follows the horror trope of taking a wrong turn. In this case, however, was very avoidable. They stop at the gas station to refill, with so many shady instances happening. These red flags, and they still decide to follow directions from a shady man, instead of an actual road map. If these people had basic survival skills, they would all be in California by now. But no. Taking an unknown road in the desert is already dangerous enough, as it can leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere. Wait. I'm not here to give a full summary of the movie, so I'ma skip ahead to another key moment. The group decide to send 2 of the alpha males to different locations. The dad is set to return to the gas station, and Doug is set to go over the mountains. What the movie fails to do is show how lethal the cannibals are in the hills. In the original film, you step foot into the hills and you're dead before you know it. How, you may ask? Well, these cannibals been hunting/thriving for years. They should know every rock and crack. Film fails to implement the very aspect the cannibals are known for. The hills are their prime hunting grounds, so tell me why multiple characters waltz right through, alone, with nothing ever happening. Doug should have been taken out, but he returns with stuffed animals, instead of actual useful supplies. Big Bob, however, makes it to the gas station. With the clerk missing and uncovering human flesh, most people will get the fuck out of there. Bob, overcome by the sense of curiosity, like an idiot decides to pry, instead of leaving with the running car, which he forgets to check the backseat. Same outhouse with the glory hole, the clerk decides to take his own life. This scene made no sense to me. It provides nothing but shock value, as he's been conspiring with the cannibals for years, and even knows their origin story. Unfortunately for Bob, he now decides driving off is a good idea. By the trend set, you guessed it, he doesn't check the back seat. While Bob was away, the family's old habit of never leashing their dogs bites them in the ass. One of the dogs escape, eventually being eaten. Bobby, the protagonist of this anime, decides to chase the dog for round 2. At any moment, Bobby should have been killed or kidnapped, but the film decides no. Bobby sees his dog mutilated, he runs and falls down into a cave, becoming unconscious. Later, Brenda wanders into the hills, by herself, to find Bobby. Perfect opportunity for the cannibals to kidnap her, but due to plot she returns with him untouched. Another thing the cannibals could have done is attack the trailer. But Atlas, the cannibals failed to show their elite guerrilla warfare. I'ma wrap this up, as I feel most of the events going forward aligns with decision making. Lightning round. The family except Big Bob are reunited at the trailer. Big Bob returns with barbecue. They attack the trailer. Lynn has a headache, the grandmother was too slow on the draw. The baby was also taken because we need to push character development. The remaining family members enter their comeback arc, emerging victorious. Marlton also receiving the Carrie treatment, by the way. Decision making. Oh god, this movie had me fuming. I'm not one to yell at the characters, but this film pushed me to the edge. Bobby suffers the most in this area. He knew, had proof, but keeps it to himself until it was too late. Not to mention the fact he leaves the trailer door open when his sister and grandma is sleeping. You can imagine they sneak in. If you can even call it that. Then one of the best scenes from this film emerges. Bob tied to a burning cross. Why is this scene, you may ask? Well, throughout the first half the cannibals kept in the shadows, never seen as a threat to the majority of the cast. Seeing Big Bob, at the mercy of these animals. You may ask, how did this impact the rest of the film? Character development. Bobby, already on the verge of breaking down, becomes somewhat broken. Doug is pushed to take the wheel, manifesting as a badass. Brenda traumatized, still more of a side character. And the rest of the family falling to the hands of the cannibals because Bobby couldn't fucking close a door. You're telling me Bobby, shaken up from seeing one of his dogs having an autopsy, wouldn't close the door when he's already in a paranoid state? Okay then. Not to mention the whole family ignores Brenda, even going a few feet next to her but never checking on her? Moving on. The survivors decide to take the fight to them, which is the dumbest thing you can do in this situation. Hills is their hunting ground, now you want to enter the hornet nest? Not to mention Solo? Fuck out of here. Now I do applaud Doug risking his all for his baby. However, the movie fails to understand the meaning of their own title. The Hill Have Eyes. You're telling me Doug aimlessly wanders through the desert and stumbles in their hideout, without anyone spotting him? Point is to always have this sense of dread over you. The hills themselves seem always watching, the film never manages to capture this. All character deaths never occurred on the hills but at the trailer. Moving on, Doug does have a good idea of taking their canine with him. The dog is the real MVP of this movie. He continuously saves Doug the whole second half. And how does he repay him? Doug abandons the dog every chance he gets. Aiding the dog while fighting Leroy increases his chance of survival. However, he decides to abandon the dog and he disappears from the remaining duration of the battle. Doug comes up on top with sheer luck. Instead of being a decent guy and checking on the dog who he brought along. Doesn't bat an eye and continues towards Red Riding Hood, who is the good bad guy of the film. The dog later returns to chew on the handicap for snitching, in case you were wondering. Lizard chases after them because he wants to kill the baby for no apparent reason. The movie concludes with Doug beating Lizard but not following the double tap rule, resulting in Red Riding Hood falling off the cliff with Lizard to save Doug. Surprise! The dog appears at the end of the film to show the audience we didn't forget about him. My question is, why didn't you use the dog to chase the girl, or even assist you with the final bout? I'm surprised Doug didn't leave his ass on the hill. Like most horror movies, you're left with a cliffhanger ending, this one so unwarranted. Doug coming from hell and back, ends with someone watching them from the hill. You might say the hills have eyes. I'm sorry, I'll let myself out. For the most part I thought the character development was the best part of the film. Yes, it was a little cliché. I enjoyed it though. My favorite character would be Doug despite the lack of IQ. Confronted with the loss of his family, he doesn't hesitate to step up. No time to mourn, he throws himself in hell, all for his child. Bobby on the other hand seems to suffer in this department. Directors had no clue where they wanted to take the character. At times making him thirsty for revenge, and others scared to even confront his fears. Risking his life for one cannibal was also a very dumb move. He destroys any shelter they had left just to get rid of one. They also have no clue whether Doug would prevail or not, leaving Brenda and Bobby out in the open for easy pickings. Instead of wasting your ammo cause you're too scared to shoot, why not tie up the cannibal just like you did here and shoot him in the head as he tries to break free? Instead they blow up the trailer. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier, Bobby still hasn't learned from his mistake. He wanders off leaving Brenda alone, angry for revenge. Brenda could have been taken quickly just like his grandmother's corpse. Brenda lacked character in general, her role in the whole movie was to contribute to the cruelty of the cannibals. Instead of building her up from tragedy, she's thrown aside while Bobby shadows her. Having her stand up to cannibals or maybe even take one out is what I was hoping to see. Overall, the development lacked in this film with the exception of Doug. The Hills Have Eyes fails to match its predecessor. What made these movies what they are, is completely forgotten. The movie as a standalone title will do it more justice. Overall, the film is decent and will not recommend. It's not terrible, but there are other films in the genre who outclass this one. 5 out of 10. If you agree or disagree with this rating, tell me on the comments below. Like or dislike, and thank you for watching.